Thank you, and welcome to Good News Week. And the big news? The Liberal Party has come up with a foolproof election-winning strategy. The GST. Why stop at a GST? Why not use other election-winning policies from the past? Nationalising the banks. Petrol rationing. I mean, sure, the party that had these policies didn't win, but someone did. The opposition. Maybe the Prime Minister could even go for the big one. You know, stand on a box, moon the electorate and sing, "Yes, we have no bananas." Well, you know, hey, it worked for Paul Keating. First, Cheryl Curnow joins the Labor Party, then John Howard announces he's taking a GST to the next election. Kim Beazley just needs a packet of double-choc Tim Tams and all his dreams will have come true. By now, every voter in the country should be wrestling with their ballot for the Constitutional Convention. Apparently, we can now vote for a republic with a crowned head of state, a monarchy with a president, a republic where the monarch appoints the president on the advice of the government, and a monarchy where we elect a queen for the day. What doesn't make sense is that all the major parties agreed we shouldn't be allowed to elect a president because we're not smart enough. We should leave it up to the politicians. You know, the ones we voted for. Queensland Senator Bill O'Chee made an intelligent contribution to the WIC debate this week when he said this about Aborigines.
That is their sole interest, causing trouble.
Spot on, Bill. I mean, what troublemakers? Imagine Aborigines thinking they can go to the High Court of Australia. They want their babies, they want their land, they don't want to die in custody, and they want common law rights. Post-genocide cultures have so much baggage. A report by Victoria's Auditor General has found the state's privatised ambulance service, Intergraph, abandoned 17,000 emergency calls last year because of problems with its communication system. On the plus side, there are now lots of vacancies in Victorian hospitals. Apparently, when you get through to Intergraph, you immediately get an answering machine that says, if you need an ambulance, press 1. If you really need an ambulance, press 2. If you really, really need an ambulance, press 3. If you're too sick to press 3, press 4. The good news is Jeff Kennett is disgusted by the report. 17,000 people bludging on a free service. He now plans to make emergency a 0055 number. Former Prime Minister Paul Keating returned to the 7:30 report this week. In just 10 minutes, he tried to rewrite history, sparked off a shouting match over race, dumped on Australia, sucked up to Kerry O'Brien and embarrassed Kim Beazley. He later described this as a personal best. And that's the good news.
It's Good News Week. Someone's dropped a bomb somewhere contaminating atmosphere and blackening the sky. It's Good News Week. Someone's found a way to give the rotting dead a will to live, go on and never die. It's Good News Week. It's Good News Week.
Thank you, good evening. Joining me in the luxurious Studio 22 tonight, the well-appointed Julie McCrossan, a rising young star of the ABC, the well-balanced James O'Loughlin, and one of the stars of Full Frontal from Perth, the well-endowed Dana Reid. And they're rubbing up against the bright and sunny Mikey Robbins, soon to be seen around Australia, and Oscar Wilde's an ideal husband, the tropical cyclone Penny Cook, and Liberal wit, enemy of the Republic, and Australian political legend, the Stormy Night, Sir James Killen. So, sorry about this, just for a second. Sir Jim, we're a bit confused. And can you
Is that
shed
novel
any...
for you?
Well, out of the barrier and the fists are up already. I just was wondering if you could explain to everyone here about the Constitutional Convention.
Why are you getting so emotional about that? I would have thought after your spirited political examination, your right role in this world is to nominate for the Senate. You would... I think you'd be living evidence of proof of life after death. Before we get on to that, I don't think you're getting sopping wet with emotion over this, are you?
Not after you've cruelly cut me down to size there, Sir Jim.
Look, dear boy, don't put it on your list of worries. You leave it to me to worry about it. I'll ring you at any hour of the day or night and tell you how the mustering's going.
He's got the Duracells in tonight.
I'm delighted to be here. You cheer the world up.
Oh, thank you. And it's a delight to have you, Sir
And
Jim.
I've already identified my distinguished leader and colleague, Mikey. He's going to be my next year's stall gift candidate. I reckon we'll get a price about him if we get nothing else.
OK, I think it's about time now to get on with the show. To arms then. Julie, James, Dana, what's the story here?
Okay. Oh, yes, the Aussie kitchen.
Walking quickly.
Also a giant science experiment and, of course, a non-dog.
It's like they do that in bathrooms and in bedrooms and toilets.
You've been worried about this, haven't you?
I know, I go to places and you're concerned that people are watching you in the toilet because it's where you do your most private things.
What do you do in public toilet today?
Is there a cat involved?
Don't go any further down that road.
It's got something to do with the fact that we have got a food industry dominated by multinationals that are parcelling everything up in a prefabricated form full of salt and sugar, and then they've got the audacity to film us in our own kitchens and say we're the ones making ourselves sick.
Mind you, though, Julie, it is that Whiskers-flavoured butter that is really causing the trouble.
3 points. Thank you very much. It's that simple. As part of Food Safety Awareness Week, surveillance cameras monitoring hygiene in Australian homes recorded some disturbing incidents, including a cat licking butter from an open container which the family later used on their sandwiches. There is a message in this for all Australians. Kill your cat.
What is the name of the dear little cat?
Fluffy.
A cat, you know, is the most insinuating of all animals. I'm very attached to them.
I thought that was on Saturday nights.
No, you don't want me to report you to the RSPCA, do you?
Well, if you feel like it, Sir Jim, I don't think I've got anything to hide, but
Well, would you have James to defend you?
I don't act for cats.
In the meantime, in an elaborate sting to trap dirty felines, food inspectors disguised as tubs of butter are staking out kitchens all over the country. One ridiculous thing about this food safety campaign is that it nags you not to put your hairbrush on the breadboard. Your hairbrush. Your vibrator, maybe. I mean, especially if the cat's been licking the butter.
Really, I think our distinguished chairman needs counselling.
I tell you what, if I need counselling, you're just the man to do it.
My long service leave is not due, though.
Mikey, Penny, Sir James, if we hadn't heard enough from you already.
You should be told that your silence has a charm all of its own. I know you've got very sensitive feelings. It's very rude of me to hurt them. I'll apologise to you later. And Julie and I, we'll really and truly counsel you.
Tandem counselling, can't wait for that.
I'll tell you what, there's 3 in a spa I'd never thought of.
Anyway, here, a bit of restful news for you.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, yeah, boy.
It's overseas, isn't it? Oh, that's that lovely terrazzo stuff. That costs a fortune.
It does.
And that's before they've done the job.
That's some archaeological digs in Woi Woi.
It's a really interesting story, that one.
It's
because
near Jerusalem.
Well, yeah, it's near Jerusalem.
In the Holy Land.
In the Holy Lands.
Yeah.
And there was Mary?
On her way to give birth to Christ.
Mary on her way to give birth to Christ. What? That wasn't her.
What gift did you bring, Jim? Looking at you, I reckon you're a mer guy.
Yeah, I reckon that.
Let me tell you this lovely lady laughs.
Good on her.
All the time, Sir Jim.
The first person to laugh in the Bible was Sarah, a lady. It
really?
wasn't left to you to we mere males to laugh, it was Sarah.
What'd you laugh at?
Oh, well, she laughed at the fact that God...
On her
the way to the
right.
stable in Bethlehem...
They stopped.
She sat down on a rock, and that's the rock Mary sat on.
Yep,
It's a bit like the house that Jack built.
And it's been missing for about 400 years.
3 points. Archaeologists have uncovered a rock between Jerusalem and Bethlehem where Mary is said to have rested only days before giving birth to Jesus. Now they're looking for the sacred beanbag that will lead them to the holy birthing centre. Mary is believed to have been guided to the rock by an angel who said, "I have good news and bad news. The good news is you'll give birth to the Son of God. The bad news is it's 2,000 years before the invention of pethidine." What is truly amazing is that the rock has survived so long. It must be the only decent-sized stone on the West Bank that hasn't been thrown at Israeli soldiers. Before the show, as we smothered each other in butter and let the cat in, both teams were given 3 clues to a strange but true story. Now, Crossan, O'Loughlin and Reid have a Victorian tourism brochure, a schnorkel, and an empty seat.
A Victorian empty seat snorkel story.
And Killen, Cook and Robbins received a blue collar, and backed by popular demand, that red bum. And lastly, a pay envelope.
Yeah, and James... James Packer wants us back at the end of the show.
Round 2 is proud to present Bites. Dana, who is US Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, waxing lyrical about here?
A congenital liar, and he cheats and he steals.
She has to be talking about a politician because she couldn't know my ex-boyfriend. Well, she might.
Tell us
Oh my God!
Tell us more.
No, I couldn't. Oh no. Say that to her. So let's have a think. It could be Mr. Clinton because he cheats apparently. But of course, the President of the United States wouldn't steal or lie.
No. They chop down cherry trees and tell the truth.
So I reckon it's Mr. Hussein, Saddam Hussein.
Interestingly enough, there is a secret camera connection with this story because just as we had secret cameras in Australia, oddly enough, watching dangerous cats.
You mean Saddam Hussein wasn't wiping his hands before he did his sandwich? Now he is a villain.
Before we become too racist, I'm just going to say 2 points and stop you there. Saddam Hussein's latest weapon has been revealed. A single-engine crop-dusting plane, allegedly capable of bombarding the enemy with enough anthrax to kill thousands. If the crop duster is discovered by UN inspectors, Hussein has another cunning plan. His weapons team has built a giant catapult capable of hurling an anthrax-infected sheep or goat several hundred kilometres into enemy territory, where it's been trained to bite Americans. But even if the plane gets shot down, Saddam has other tricks up his sleeve, like opening a chain of Vietnamese hot bread shops that specialise in pork rolls. Yes, he is evil. And training Iraqi cats to sneak into US kitchens and lick the butter. Sir James, what is this fine chap talking about?
And it will take some time for people to really come to grips with what we're proposing here.
For the Cabinet to understand what's going on in the defence area. Many years ago, a fellow rang me on the phone. This won't take too long. He said his name was Charlesworth. He had a very, very English voice. He asked me for the state of Australia's defence preparedness. I thought it was somebody giving me one up the bracket. Was a perfect hoax. So when he asked me the state of our defence preparedness, I said we could not defend Botany Bay on a hot Sunday afternoon. And next morning, to my consternation, I saw in the paper it was a genuine call. Oh. So if anybody by the name of Charlesworth rings you up, Paul, be very, very careful.
Do you think Peter Duncan had been rung by Mr. Charlesworth?
Well, I don't know. That could be the signal for Killen to go back to Canberra. What do you say about that?
I think it'd be a great thing. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah, actually, I think there's a flight in about 10 minutes.
I'm going to have to give you 2 points and ask you to shut up.
Isn't this a policy that, surprisingly, the first half half of which is exactly the same as a policy you had back in the 60s?
Oh, no, dear. My half was correct.
As part of the Defence Reform Program, our fighting forces have a new system called a phased career, which offers the best personnel incentives to progress to the next level and offers the worst a free trip to the CES. There used to be another way to weed out soldiers who didn't make the grade. It was called war. And the Army is already looking at getting rid of 1,200 soldiers who are overweight or can't shoot straight. They shouldn't, you know, they really shouldn't fire the fat guys. What they should do, right, is form them into the Australian Sumo Regiment and then get them to push the enemy back out to sea. Or to accommodate lardballs who can't shoot straight, introduce a new rank, target. To finish up, a little game we like to call Warren. 3 headlines about the same person, but their identity has been childishly concealed by using the name Sheep. James, your headlines are Warren, his own worst menace. Tearful Warren faces the final disgrace. Warren's career in ruins as shots fired at reporters. Who is this Warren of which we speak?
Well, when I read the first one, Warren, his own worst menace, I thought it might have been John Gorton after hearing his speech the other night. The third one gave it away. Warren's career in ruins is shot fired at reporters. It's Maradona. He was shooting reporters a couple of years ago, I think, going, write good things about me, write good, which is always a good tactic, because then they will. And the reason he's in the news is because some genius has decided to make and produce Maradona the musical. It's true, it's going to be true. They're going to do a musical about his life.
Unfortunately, John Belushi isn't alive to play the lead role.
So, I mean, hopefully in Australia, you know, we can carry on the trend and do Plug of the Play or something. Or, you know, Fatty the Film, I don't know.
Well, let's just see if you're right, James. 2 points. It is Diego Maradona. A musical about the Argentinian soccer legend called Viva Diego has premiered in Naples, complete with a chorus line of soccer hooligans. Yes, it's just like The Sound of Music, except without nuns, Nazis and children, and lots more drugs and soccer. But some people who've seen the show feel the hooligan storyline doesn't work. 10 minutes in, they set fire to the theatre, and everyone has to be evacuated. But the finale is a real showstopper. Don't drug test me, Argentina. The truth is, this sniff is not flu. Call it addiction, call it obsession. You blow the whistle, I'll plead possession. Okay, are you after a piece of Warren, Penny?
Oh, I'm a bit scared, but yes.
Are you scared because of James?
I think Sir James might like to help.
I don't think you could actually stop him. Your 3 headlines are Warren planned to silence prayer, Warren out of jail into the house, and Gough tried to muzzle me. Warren.
How dare they talk about me like that?
The thing is, Gough tried to muzzle me.
Is that muzzle or nozzle?
Well, nuzzle. It might have been a typo. Tried to nuzzle me. Oh,
I'm from Australia.
Oh, yeah. And the plan to silence prayer is the one that gives it away, because that's the most recent one, even though everything else seems, well, I think it is, the most recent one, and it's in fact Bob Brown. The senator who tried to stop them saying the prayer in the Senate.
Stop them praying in Tassie, the very state they need to pray the most.
To get in the mood for the Senate, they should maybe sing a track from Maradona the musical together.
Or anything off the Kiss Alive album.
Or even I was made for legislating for you, baby.
Thank you, that one supporter of James O'Loughlin in the audience. Let's just see if Penny is right.
Yeah.
Yes! 2 points! It is Tasmanian Greens Senator Bob Brown. This week, Bob suggested that instead of starting each day with the traditional prayer, senators should take time out for a period of silent reflection on why they were there and their responsibility to the electorate. But that won't work, will it? I mean, none of them will be able to keep a straight face. Well,
But now, Penny...
oh, you're back.
Yeah. How many marks do we get for that brilliant answer?
Well, I did say a couple of minutes ago, too. Had you actually been listening and not talking...
Build it up a bit, please.
So 2 points, there you go. Fantastic, congratulations. Yes, Bob Brown does want to abolish the traditional prayer because many senators have no faith, which is interesting because, you know, a lot of voters have no faith either. Anyway, Democrat Senator Andrew Murray then suggested that they have a rotating arrangement with a Buddhist prayer one day, a Muslim prayer the next, a Christian prayer and so on. But you wouldn't want to leave anyone out, you know. So what about a satanic prayer day? You know, they could even sacrifice a virgin. Well, it'd give Natasha Stopp-Despoja a meaningful role. What? But is this rotation going to work? I mean, all religions can't be right. So several times a week, our senators will be praying to the wrong God. Like they're not in enough trouble already. OK, the devout Macrossans are on 7 points. While the pious Robbinses are on 7 points. The usual suspects will look after round 3 this week. 3 characters with something in common. Find that link and find the 4th suspect who completes the lineup. Teams, we have Johnny Rotten.
Looking good.
From U2, Bono. And Marilyn Manson. Dana, James, Julie, who's missing?
Oh!
Oh, well,
I've got a very large number of people.
Someone's got a baseball cap on.
Oh, Mr. Paul. Satan's got something to do with it.
Mr. Paul.
It's something to do with...
come on. Satanist connection.
Mephistopheles thingy. He's doing the devil thing. I'm under pressure, I've got sweating.
Stop your whinging! When I first saw those... When I saw those 3 names, I thought they were 3 dogs drawn wide at Dapto.
Paul, I am very embarrassed to put forward that our group is completely stumped.
No, we're not. We're very close.
It has been the most pathetic display of upstaging I've ever seen on this show, but I'm going to have to say...
He may need mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and I'm not available.
It's a satanic reference, of course. Marilyn Manson's satanic overtones. Bono there's Mephistopheles, and Johnny Rotten is saying he was an antichrist, which brings us to the fact that this week Phil Spector, the noted record producer of the 60s, described as Antichrist the beloved Spice Girls.
Yes. You've got 3 points for that. It is the Spice Girls, but because of that disgusting self-congratulatory dance, I'm going to give you 2 points as well. Legendary US record producer Phil Spector launched a bizarre attack on the Spice Girls recently, saying he thinks they're the Antichrist. But it makes sense, you know. When you watch a Spice Girls video, the message is sex, 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 which is the number of the beast in New Zealand. Spector reckons some people have said watching a Spice Girls video is like watching a porn film. But there is a difference in that some porn films have good music. Closing arguments now. Julie, James, Dana, your strange but true clues were the tourism brochure,
And, hang on.
snorkel, and that heavy empty
Just
seat.
stuffed myself in the head.
Yeah.
I think this is a story that is trying to encourage Australians to go to a little beach, a famous beach outside of Melbourne, where someone that you would remember from your political era came to a sad end.
Harold Holt.
Harold Holt. Now,
Harold Holt,
What about the empty seat?
well, the empty seat, he was Prime Minister at the time. Went out for a swim, there was an empty seat, but I mean, instantly...
Unfortunately, he didn't have this. But the Victorian government, in their wisdom and search for the buck, are now trying to make the place where Mr. Holt met his untimely death a tourist attraction.
Frankly, I don't think the Queenslanders need worry.
Many years ago, I said you could always tell a Victorian, but you can't tell him very much.
But I think maybe they should think about turning this into a musical, like Maradona the musical. We could have Harold Holt the musical. We have all these chicks, like synchronised swimmers, swimming around and disappearing.
3 points. Congratulations. Victoria's Mornington Peninsula Tourism Forum has come up with a very tasteful money-making idea. Sell Cheviot Beach to tourists as the beach where Harold Holt drowned. If I wanted to see where a Prime Minister disappeared, I'd start talking about Aboriginal reconciliation. What Mornington Peninsula needs is a big Harold. Eh? A 100-metre-long statue of a swimming man. Then, every hour, on the hour, the statue disappears. And enthusiastic tourists are encouraged to look for it. But what about all the souvenirs they could make? T-shirts. You know, my parents went swimming at Cheviot Beach, and all I got was this lousy coroner's report. Or children's books, like, Where's Harry? And I think they should privatise the whole thing. Then we could look forward to floating Harold Holt. Thank you. Sir James, Penny, Mikey, your tale involves the blue collar, ubiquitous red bum, not yet Sir James, and huge pay envelope.
I'll tell you what, makes a nice blanket too. Off you go, James.
Can I have a bit of it?
Yeah, go for it, mate. The hammer and sickle's a bit of a giveaway.
Yeah.
That would tend to indicate Russia.
Well, now, the red bum means it's Russia as well.
Red Russian with a blue collar.
A well-dressed gentleman after a bad day at the races.
There's a problem paying blue-collar workers in Russia. Apparently there's factories that don't have enough money. Because the ruble's worth, what, these days? A piece of sand. Something like that.
Maybe not even that much.
So the story is that they're giving them commodities, and a whole bunch of Russian blue-collar workers have voted, instead of taking money for, instead of a pay rise, they're going to take,
Bums.
So, I can take...
I don't know about you, there's some things I'll buy in the black market, and some things I won't. I'm not buying black market toilet paper.
Well, I'm having a flashback to my old history days. Remember when the German economy got into desperate troubles between the wars? Everyone was wheeling big wheelbarrows full of money. In Russia, they're going to be wheeling big wheelbarrows full of toilet paper.
Well, toilet paper
In Australia, they are too, if the dollar
Mikey,
keeps going down.
there's only one blemish, old fellow, in your argument, and that is this collar has got a stud.
It's got two now, matey. There you go.
I'm sure.
Tell you what, though, if you're being paid in toilet paper, wouldn't it be horrible holding out for payday?
What do we want? Double ply. When do we want it? Soon as possible.
You are right. Congratulations. Workers at a cash-strapped Russian clock factory recently received a bonus 150 rolls of toilet paper each. In Moscow, enterprising criminals are even forging toilet paper. Apparently, they're sticking Russian banknotes together and painting them white. It's a valuable commodity. Despite recent events, Russian toilet paper is up against the US Kleenex, steady against the British sorbet, and holding its own against the German Krappenpapier. Nevertheless, inflation has affected its value. Older Russian workers can remember when you only got one roll a week, but it was enough to buy all your groceries, take your girlfriend to see a film, get her an ice cream, catch a taxi home, and still have enough toilet paper left over to last you the weekend. You'd remember those days.
Yeah. Are you going to make a request to Mikey, Penny, and yours truly to sing the red flag or something like that?
It's funny you say that, because I'd love it if we could finish up with a little duet with the two of you, the way you were humming together before.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
The truth is, I never touched you.
And I am grateful. Keep at it.
Julie McCrossan, James O'Loughlin and Dana Reid scored a delicate 12 points. Being beaten here by Mikey Robbins, Penny Cook and Sir James Killen on a ductile 13 points. So we say farewell to Peter Jackson and tell you that Good News Week, the book, is now available at ABC shops, ABC centres and all good bookshops for a measly $16.95. For now, we'll leave you with the good news that Australian statesmen of all ages and political persuasions are having their say on the native title issue. Paul Keating says John Howard's 10-point plan is racist. John Gorton says Aboriginal people are primitive. And Graham Richardson says he'll have Kerry Packer's car washed by 9 o'clock. Good night.
It's Good News Week. Someone's got to bum somewhere.
And the winner is...
The 1997 Australian Film Institute Awards, coming up next. Spend Saturday night at home with ABC TV. Henry sets off on a research project and digs up more than statistics.
A little bit lost, have we, madam?
No, actually.
Because this is a private road, you see, you can't cut through. Only doing our job, sir. Just can't be too careful these days.
At 8:30 on The Bill.
Well, the first couple of victims, I didn't get close to them, but this time they had the knife up against the girl's throat.
Roy and HG bring us an